You're watching Drakewing Gaming. Enjoy the video.
Hey guys and gals, Never here for Drakewing Gaming. Instead of me on Twitter, the Gaming Dragon, today I'm coming back at you with a Let's Play episode of Sparks, A Tale of Ink. So y'all, before we jump into it, just wanted to let y'all know that our Patreon is now for as little as $5. Y'all can help support the channel, get some awesome rewards like permanent access to our community Discord server and full access to upcoming Not Safe for Work videos. Anyway, y'all, let's go ahead and jump right back in. Alarm chain, you were up, and let's go. Alright. The first rays of the rising sun woke Zhangken quickly. He was still not used to the window being positioned like this, catching early rays of light redirecting them to the bedside. It was guaranteed to wake even the sleepiest student. At home, he usually slept in and was woken up by the smell of a freshly prepared breakfast, but here the process of getting up was less gentle. He took a few moments to shake off the soft blankets. They would have to be changed as he got back here, as their thickness proved too hot for the warm atmosphere. With a sigh, he changed the calendar page to the current month and put the pearl on the first day. Perhaps I will finally discover why everything has to be like this. He opened up the door and found a large box with 2 letters on top of it. Last night, the 2 professors had met up with him again. Gail was shocked by the proposed sum, but Caleb reassured them that this was the best they could get, especially with the request being so spontaneous. He still had seen worse. Caleb had also charted a route over certain mercantile streets that would have them save as much time as possible, with 2 stops at rivers to wash and stock up on water. Gail did say they'd do their best to secure the necessary gems. Being at the source seemed to have worked, as one of the letters of the Academy's deerhead seal. The other letter was far more fascinating to Zhangken at the moment, though. He tossed the Academy's letter aside, knowing full well it would simply contain formalities. He instead opened the other letter. Its envelope was made from the handcrafted paper he knew so well. Greeted by his old friend's handwriting, a warmth of joy swelled up in his chest. Dear Zhangken, I hope you are doing well. Here at Soleil, everything is as you know it as well. Your parents are still hard at work to be the most vital parts of the town. While working their crafts, they still manage new arrivals and dealings with merchants. Without them, we would all probably be lost. I hope your studies are going well. Ever since your brother and sister left, I've been treated like an honorary child. I don't enjoy being coddled too much, but I am putting up with it. We all hope to see you again soon. But also, please do not stress yourself. There's no need to be reckless in the face of walking your own path. Please be safe, and I would love to hear from you again. Yours truly, Rousseau. Just holding the letter filled Zhangken with joy. That letters could be sent effortlessly like this between towns and cities was the culmination of many people working together. But it paid off. Communication was much easier than it ever had been. He looked at the letter once again. It might be short, but having his old friend write to him still made his heart beat a little faster. The 2 might not have parted on the most amicable terms, but at least the spark of their friendship persisted still. Though the letter made him think of something that was shoved into the further reaches of his mind. There's no need to be reckless in the face of walking your own path. It made him think how he never expected to set out this soon, this quickly. Fear of failure due to his inexperience, nervousness, and recklessness arose. Second now. Drink time. And today, I am drinking Bing Cherry Energy, one of the most delicious energy drinks I have ever had. Please sponsor me, Bing. What if he destroyed something valuable, made parts of the ruins inaccessible by accident, took the wrong historic evidence with limited storage space on him? Perhaps Caleb should have taken someone he trusted more with him. Someone with more experience would have surely been able to hire a manner of transportation that wasn't this expensive. More and more the insecurity took over Zhangken's mind. Just a moment ago, he was full of motivation, but it had been replaced by a feeling of creeping dread. His chest began to hurt, and it was hard to breathe. He could just stay here. He could simply let the merchant go and continue his days at the academy, finish his studies in theory, and go back home. Certainly that is something he could do, but Caleb trusted him. Despite everything, this thought gave him hope. Caleb trusted him with this. The man always had trusted and encouraged Zhangken. Then he couldn't waste the opportunity to repay him. For all the guidance he had been given over the last year, now the opportunity to pay him back had arisen. Zhangken shook himself out of his stupor and opened up the small crate. Lined up inside, he found a multitude of vials, filled to the brim with gemstones that shimmered in wonderful colors as the sun's rays escaping his room touched them. Quickly, he went over to them to add up and counted the exact amount that TR had charged. Gail really managed to do it. The realization washed over him like a gentle breeze. Quickly, he took them out and shoveled the vials into his bag. Walking with the crate would simply obstruct him. It wasn't elegant, but it would have to do. Zhangken adjusted his posture to account for the newly added mass. With a look into his notebook and then outside, he tried to pin the time and noticed how much he had wasted, stuck in his own head. It was now of utmost urgency to go to the agreed location. Newfound, yet uneasy, hope accelerated his steps. The damp air outside was overwhelming. It felt as if his fur immediately started sticking together as Zhangken left the academy. The smell of petrichor hung everywhere. Soon it would invade the school for a few days. It was especially delightful to watch students from overseas react to it. Usually they're not used to the sensation sticking around for so long. For some reason, their complaining gave him much joy. While making his way through the streets, he noticed that most of the marketers were gone, leaving only those with permanent stalls. The new flying merchants would arrive in the next few days, yet the streets were busy as ever. Mostly children of all ages screaming and shouting in enjoyment of finally being able to leave their houses. He slowly made his way through the crowds, his mind still racing with current events catching up to him. He really was about to do this. Zhangken refused to get stuck in his thoughts again and marched onwards. Finally, he could get something moving. His step accelerated in anticipation, making it through the crowd. Few times he had felt this filled with joy. Oh, thump. Something or someone crashed full force into Zhangken's side. He didn't see anyone coming towards him and quickly lost his balance from the shock. Together with his body, the bag fell quickly from his shoulder and most of its contents, including many of the vials with gemstones, spilled onto the street and across the stone. A few people stopped on their way looking at the fallen man, but most kept on walking. After his initial confusion, Zhangken shook his head a little and noticed a hooded figure picking up some of the vials that had rolled away. Hey! Hey, you, stop! The hooded figure turned around to face him and held up for a moment, but kept on slowly picking up the vials from the floor. Ashes! With a curse, Zhangken attempted to get up again, but felt pain shoot up his legs and collapsed once more. The regret of skipping all physical classes made itself apparent as Zhangken tried to get up once again, but he only managed to fall onto his back. Second, y'all. The assailant had collected the vials by now, prepared to move on. Zhangken had to act, and quickly. With a snap of his fingers, parts of the cloak that the stranger had draped themselves and caught fire, and in shock they threw it off. Some people in the crowd cried out as the flaming piece of cloth was thrown at them, but Zhangken's eyes met the familiar eyes of the assailant. He stared at him and recoiled from what he saw, a face he was familiar with, a familiar fox that he knew from back home. The sight made his head hurt, piercing pain and panic spreading through his being. What's going on? How? And he thought of the letter he just read. Zhangken was unable to grasp the situation. Was this an overly thought-out ruse? A moment of his final day at Soleil shot through his head. Those green eyes, overflowing with regret and sadness as Zhangken turned around one last time. Why? Was his mind playing tricks on him? Would he really come here just to hurt him once more? Thoughts were pushed to the back of his head as he noticed his assailant making an effort to escape. He could give chase now, but he was clearly less athletic than his assailant, and burning any of his clothes further would just lead him to throwing away more of his rags. If only he could put down fire like any other redistributing sparker, he could have actually stopped him in his tracks by erecting a wall of flame. Zhangken stumbled up and ran after the bandit a little more, but he had already melted into the crowd. In the blink of an eye, someone else dashed in the direction of the fox from behind him. He could only see a white coat floating in the wind before the sight was gone. Zhangken gathered up everything else he had dropped, once again trying to compose himself. No one had come to help him, and even the few guardsmen that had arrived to investigate the commotion steered clear of him, as if he was at fault for the situation. After breathing out an exasperated sigh, he began walking back to his original destination, until he heard hurried steps catching up to him. Please, wait a moment. Huh? Gail, is that you? The professor accelerated their steps a little more until they stood next to Zhangken. What are you doing here? I saw that someone got assaulted in the streets and ran after the assailant. Sadly, I have to admit that I was not able to catch them. They seem to have blended too well into the crowd, and already found a hiding spot. Ashes. Did they take anything important from you? Where's the package of gem vials? Please tell me they did not take all of them. Well, not exactly. Zhangken explained that he had taken all the vials out of the box Gail sent him, leaving out the fact that he had spent a lot of time in his own head. I understand. We can talk about your gross negligence later, but I understand that you had felt pressured by the time you had been given. As usual, their face betrayed not a single emotion. If they were disappointed or mad, none of it was clear. Second, y'all. At least not to the still troubled Zhangken. I told some of the guards to look for the man that assaulted you. Though whoever they were, they might have already changed their appearance. Thank you. But again, what are you actually doing here? Did you not read the letter? I had included with the gems. I see. After I told my parents everything about the ruins, Caleb's spirited attitude, and your involvement, they wanted me to come along. Neither you nor Caleb are trained in combat in the way I am. My purpose is to keep you safe. From burglars, bandits, beasts, and blasphemy, I assume. Excuse me. Your neutral tone changed to a deeper one. For once, Zhangken managed to catch them off guard. It can only be that, no? You or your parents are afraid of what we might uncover. Gail, listen. If there is truly something out there, it needs to be known. And if you were to stand between me and the truth... I will keep this in mind. Though truth be told, I have my own doubts regarding this whole thing. If it even happens, after the little incident, I have many fears, so having you come along will at least be reassuring. That is good to hear. Are we almost at the tent? Does Caleb know where to go? Yes, I gave him directions. We should be there in time. I do hope he went ahead, though. Some time later, the two reached the area where Zhangken had been attempting to negotiate with the merchant the day before. Instead of the tent, though, he could see a massive wagon made of beautiful white wood. Crates and barrels of differing sizes were strewn along the ground, and Zhangken noticed a huge figure carrying them around. Caleb had indeed arrived early and followed TR's shouted instructions. No, this goes in the back when the smaller supplies are stored in the department under the normal floor. Please keep up. But if we put this one next to the easily inflammable... No buts! You are following my orders here. You're not even paying me. We yet have to leave in a timely manner, and you're the only person I can rely on to carry these onto here. Your little Sable sure wouldn't be able to. Oh, there you are. TR's gaze fell onto the pair, a grin drawing across his face. With a slight spring in his step, he made his way over to them, yet the bell on his hat did not make a single sound. Your friend here arrived just a few moments ago. I was honestly afraid you would leave me here, despite having signed a contract. I never did such a thing. A verbal contract. Those are just as binding. But, well, whatever. Give me the gems and we can be on our way once your brick house of a friend is done with loading and everything. The correct way! He shouted into Caleb's general direction, but he seemed to ignore the merchant, crashing down a crate into the wagon with an unceremonious thump. I shall help him out. I think we can coordinate this properly together. And who are you supposed to be, pretty face? That's Gail, and they were asked by the leaders of the academy to accompany us. I got supplies for 2 to 3 people. We'll be having some issues with 4 people, but we can forage some on the way, I suppose. Now, show me the gems, boy. About that, there's been an issue, and I'm not sure if this is enough. GR quickly produced a rack to place the gem-filled vials in. As they all had different sizes, it was easier to measure how much any vessel was worth. The rack was barely filled halfway, and Zhangken could no longer find any vials in his bag. Merchant and student looked at the rack for a few painfully silent moments, only broken by gentle instructions from Gail to Caleb, who was now carrying 2 crates with each arm. Well, my boy, Zhangken hated the shift in tone. Something bad was about to flow from the merchant's mouth. Something vile. Seems like there was a change in contract in order. Well, I already planned going to the location. This is simply not enough to recompensate the risk of losses. Thus, I shall be free to take a certain amount of relics, treasures, and other items. Harry produced a scroll that listed the discussed terms. GR quickly added a note about improper payment. Zhangken knew there would be a repercussion, but he couldn't discuss it now. Hopefully Caleb was up for discussion how to handle it. GR tried to offer Zhangken his quill, but Zhangken had already drawn his trusty stylus in the style of those used in the old world and noted down his signature. Ah, pleasure doing business. Yeah. I'm 100% going to guess that he planned this. Your arms don't look much like they do any good putting the supplies in, so we should spend the time otherwise. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and pause it right there. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and check out our Patreon if you can. It always helps. Before I go, I'm going to give a quick shout out to our lovely bronze tier patrons. Thank you all for all you do for the channel. We greatly appreciate the support. Thank you to our silver tier patron, Cade Silvermoon. Thank you for going a bit above and beyond. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you to our gold tier patron, Almer. You're awesome. We love you. Thank you for subbing to our ultimate tier. Anyway, if y'all want to get your names in the credits, get access to our not safe for work content as little as $5. Alrighty, I love you all, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye!